Morning. Welcome to another of my monologues. I've got a little question here for you that I've been trying to work out in my brain, my little tiny little walnut of a brain, and I can't quite fathom this out, although I think I've actually come to the conclusion of what the answer is. But let me put the problem, the conundrum to you. See, yesterday I was working really hard. I was doing a lot of stuff. I was doing a lot of physical stuff. And I was, just busy doing a bit of this and a bit of that. And I was running to this and then I was running to that. There's no point going through all the different things that I actually did, but it was all like very physical stuff. And a lot of people do a lot of physical stuff. They might go for a long walk. They might be fixing their roof. They might be building a shed. They might be doing all sorts of stuff. Anyway, at the end of the day, I came back and having had an exhausting day, I realised I hadn't really eaten pretty much all day, but a couple of slices of bacon, that was it. And then in the evening, I had a couple of burgers, some 3 potatoes, some carrots, some broad beans. It was a very simple meal. I was very tired and I just put all that together, very simple, and gobbled it up. And it occurred to me that it was a similar meal I'd had the night before. And yet I'd been ever so busy yesterday, ever so busy, but doing things, building things, changing things and various things. And I thought, hang on a minute, there's something a bit odd going on here. And I wondered if you'd noticed this too. Maybe you've already thought about it, because we're always told that we need to eat all this food in order to fuel our bodies so that we can get through a day's work. And then I thought, the food that I've eaten, and I really only have one meal a day, the food that I eat generally doesn't seem to be a huge amount of food. And yet that's powering me throughout the day. How is a small plate of food powering me to climb up ladders, to knock nails in things, to build something over here and then run over here and all the other bits and pieces, and operate the brain and plan things out and do various things? Or other people who are climbing up ladders and putting tiles on roofs or whatever it is they're doing, or shifting a whole load of boxes from over here to over there on a simple plate of food. It doesn't seem to equate that a plate of food has enough energy and substance in it in order to create, say, a 12-hour day doing hard labour. And then I was thinking, well, back in the day when, they used to have slaves on the plantations and those terrible times, but they didn't feed those people terribly well, did they? They didn't give them lashings and lashings of food so they had a lot of energy. And imagine those slaves that used to row across the oceans, in the Viking days and places like that, where they row, and they weren't having big slap up foods. They were just being given gruel and they had to work ever so hard. How is it that the body, excuse me, how is it that the body is able to take 2 burgers, 3 potatoes, some carrots and broad beans and then fashion that into something so clever and magical that a 12-hour day of on the go can keep going? And I don't think that's what it's doing. I think that is, again, one of these myths that we've been told, because I think the food is simply there to maintain the body, to keep the skin growing and bright and able to do what it does. When you cut yourself, just to congeal up the blood and fix itself. It's there to keep the heart pumping, to keep the brain functioning, to keep the eyes watered and bright. I think that's what the food is really doing. It's not seeming to be giving the... You can't do all of that job that keeps the body functioning and then a 12-hour day. So what else is going on? Well, throughout the day, you breathe, don't you? That's the 2 things that you do, is you breathe and you drink water. Yes, we have a couple of meals and the water helps hydrate the body. But the essential thing to me is that we breathe. And we're doing that constantly, many, many times in an hour. And if we're doing that, it seems to me that is where the energy is coming from, that the energy is coming from the air that we breathe. So what is in the air? Yes, there's oxygen and yes, there's carbon dioxide. But I start to think, actually, there's got to be something else, hasn't there? That's where the energy to keep going for 12 hours a day. Maybe that is the ether that people talk about. That is the sort of invisible magic substance that binds everything together, the ether. And is the ether, in a way, for some people, that magical energy that perhaps people call the universe or the creator or God or whatever you want to call it? That ether energy is what actually maintains us, because people also fast. So they might not eat for 2 or 3 days, but that doesn't mean to say they can't get up and move about and do stuff. And then you think, well, that plate of food that was, supposedly that's what keeps us going. We're all told, yeah, you've got to eat your greens and get your meat and all that protein and all that will keep you going. But I'm not convinced. Now, you may say, Richard, you're a fuddy-duddy, you're a bit bonkers, you've had too much sunshine, maybe you're going mad. And maybe I am. But I'd be very curious to see if you thought about that same thing. Because it seems to me the food is there to maintain the body and keep us young and healthy and keep the brain working so that we can interpret our thoughts and come to conclusions and have our motivation going. But the thing that drives us, that keeps us going from pillar to post, from here to there, from A to B, has to be, does it not, something else? And the thing that we're doing is we're breathing. To me, that is the energy of the ether. And we're breathing it in, yes, combination of oxygen and CO2 and all that, but we're breathing in and we're exhaling it. Because you see these runners, a runner can run and you think, blimey, he's run out of puff. Collapses, sits down for 5 minutes, slowly his body, he's not having a plate of food, is he? To suddenly go, oh, I need a bit more energy, I'll just have another plate of food because that takes too long to digest. And then he can get up and he can keep running again. And he'll run, rabbit, run, and he'll run away. And all he's taken really is more ether from the energy. Is that what's going on? Am I barking mad? Is this, perhaps everybody else knows this and it's taken me 62 years to get to the point where I've started to think, hanging, what is that magic ingredient that keeps us going on? Anyway, the point of all of that then is, if that is that magic ingredient, it just goes to show you how important it is to be breathing clean, fresh, healthy air. It probably makes a difference if you connect to the ground, to the earth, as well as being behind screens or in front of screens or it's stuck indoors under artificial light. Maybe it's a combination of sunlight, being out and about, getting on, and the good quality air, which gives us all a reason to get outside and to take in some of that wonderful energy and that ether into our lungs and power ourselves, rather than just a couple of burgers, 3 potatoes, some carrots and broad beans. Maybe we've been looking at this the wrong way round. Or am I just a bit confused? Probably both. Anyway, thank you for watching. Till next time, goodbye.